One, one is how the ISMS can help us develop an information security program. The second being the opportunities that exist for us as security practitioners, especially for those of us who are looking to transit from their current careers into the information and cybersecurity space. We will also be sharing checklists in line with the new ISO standard that could help us as individuals either implement or assess the ISMS. My name is Tony, and I'm your host for this KSS. So to take us further, we have a brilliant mind in the person of Moses Omolaye. Yeah, I hope I got that right. Moses is a GRC consultant with extensive experience in technology and cybersecurity operations. He is a trainer and has hands-on experience in implementing and assessing the ISMS. So let's pay attention as Moses takes us through these slides. For just a bit of housekeeping, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll respond to as many as we can or take them at the end of this session. So Moses. Moses, you're muted. And in case the video is, we've seen your fine face, but in case video is going to impair internet access, you might want to turn it off just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so since a face has been placed to the name, I can just take it off right now. Yes. So thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be here. Like I said, my name is Moses Gabriel Omolaye, and it's an honor to be here. So basically, today we'll be talking about how the ISMS is relevant, and then how does it stack or complement other frameworks, and then we'll talk about the old or the immediate past version, which is the 2013, and we'll compare it to the present version, which is the 2022. Then we'll see some key elements of the ISMS, and then we'll see opportunities, because you know that there's the route for implementers and there's the route for auditors. And then also we will see certification bodies. We'll name a few, and then we'll talk in particular about the standards and best practices. So when we get to that point, we'll have a more explicit interaction. So how, or relevance of the ISMS? A lot of times people are wondering, like, what's this ISMS? Why is it relevant? You know, so there are different things. For instance, is industry agnostic. That's like one of the biggest selling points, if you ask me, because it's very diverse. It doesn't matter if the industry is in government, if it's in manufacturing or non-profit or core IT, whatever it is, you know, it's a middle ground for every kind of industry. Anybody and everybody can implement the ISMS. And then when it comes to the framework, it's robust. You know, it's an all-encompassing framework because it covers different domains, from cybersecurity to business continuity to data privacy, you know, and other aspects of information security. For instance, physical security, you still see those elements in the ISMS. Then it's adaptability. It adapts very well. So you can easily customize it to suit the peculiarity of your organization. So it suits the peculiarity of the organization. It serves the purpose in what your organization does. You know, so this would apply when we're looking at some mandatory documents like the statement of applicability. So we would understand how that relates to adaptability. Then it is risk-based. The ISO 27001 has adopted a risk-based approach to its implementation. So it's risk-based. Then when it comes to compliance, it helps to demonstrate compliance to high information security principles. So I know that across certain industries, someone wants to start a PSB, start an MFB, a microfinance bank, and there are some security requirements. But trust me, I'll give an instance. I was part of an implementation where we're doing a recertification for NDPR. But you find out that because the ISMS was in place, there are certain compliance documents or compliance things that are needed, but it's already implemented in the ISMS. So you just pull it from there and say, we already have this. So it really is a good driver when it comes to compliance in the security domains, Then when it comes to branding, so because at the end of the day, either for organizations or for personnel, you get certified. An organization gets certified. You get a certificate. You get a certificate for that. An individual gets certified to say lead implementer or lead auditor. You get a certificate for that, and it increases stakeholder confidence. Stakeholders could be your customers, could be your employers, could be your business partners, and even potential people coming in. So someone wants to do a business with your organization and he sees that, wow, they are certified to the ISMS. It means you take security seriously. And it also means that you are doing the right thing. So basically that's it for the relevance of the ISMS. Can we go further? Wow. So this is a part that excites me because there's the argument where people will tell you that this framework is better than the other framework, but I've come to demystify that to tell you that they complement each other. But first of all, what makes the ISO stand out, ISO 27001 stand out, is that it is a global standard for information security management systems. When you see things like NIST, for instance, NIST is proprietary to America. A lot of them or some other frameworks are narrowed in that manner. However, for ISO, it's global. It's not about for you to work in, say, defense industry in America, all those kind of things. The ISO doesn't work that way. So I'll just go through some things. For instance, we know that the focus of, say, NIST is cybersecurity. That's cybersecurity framework, and then for COBIT, what's the focus? The focus is business and IT governance, which also emphasizes on information governance and process improvement. So this is how now they could start together. Now, there are areas of your implementation. Like we've established that it's the applicability. So if you're implementing, for instance, ISO 27001, but in certain areas, you see that, wow, there are these controls in COBIT, there are these controls in NIST when it comes to cybersecurity that would help me strengthen my program. And there's no harm in adopting it. So they are not there to compete as bigger brothers to one another, but they're there to complement each other. And the ISO complements a whole lot of standards. I only took this two as an example for the want of time, but you can see the table in front of you. And I think after this session, we will get these slides and we would see that, when we go through it, we'll understand better what I have said. Things like even combining SOC 2, 27001, you could do all of that. Yes, so next slide, please. Okay. ISO 27001, we know that it had been called something else up until 2005. Then now we had the 2013 version, which is the immediate past version. Now we have the 2022 version. So what's the difference between the 2022 and the 2013 version? Sadly, not sadly, rather, it took 9 years for them to make this change, but we don't envisage as much time anymore because of how the climate is changing, by the day. Some standards don't take that long. So it starts with the nomenclature. ISO 27001, 2013 was called Information Technology, Security Techniques, Information Security Management Systems, and Requirements. Now the new one, Information Security, Cyber Security and Privacy Protection, newly added, and then Information Security Management Systems and Requirements. So you can see that cybersecurity and privacy has been added in the 2022 version. Then we also can see that on the old version and the new version, they both have the same number of clauses. Basically, ISO standards have 10 clauses, basically. And then when it comes to the number of controls, in the old one, there were 114 controls, but in the new one, it's been collapsed to 93 controls. We had 14 sections in the 2013 when it comes to the Annex A controls, but now we have 4 from the technological to the organizational. So there are four of them right now, as opposed to 14 before that we had before. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So what are the key elements? So basically, these are like before I continue, I must say that we're in a transition period to the 2022, even organizational implementation. So it is expected that by 2025, organizations should have shifted from 2013, that is if they are still on 2013, to 2022. But as we speak, organizations are already certifying to the 2022 edition. But by 2025, the 2013 will be totally phased out. Then we now go to the key elements of the ISMS. So we have what we call mandatory documents in the ISMS. So these are the documents, but for the want of time, we would only look at about 3 or 4 of them, which are in bold there. Hopefully, if we have the chance to look at all 4, if not, we'll look at 3 of them. So we have the scope of the ISMS, we have the statement of applicability, also known as the SOA, we have the information security policy, very important. Then we have what you call the risk assessment and treatment plan. How is your risk assessed? How is it treated? Then we have the information security objectives, assets, inventory, all the way down to corrective and preventive actions. Again, when we get the slides, we'll see these listings. So let's just go straight into it. Let's look at the scope of the ISMS. Okay, so we have a hypothetical organization here called CTAG, and this is the ISMS scope. So the ISMS scope just captures the confines within the applicability of the ISMS to the organization. So in other words, we can say that the ISMS scope is very crucial to the success of the ISMS program, because it helps you define the boundaries within the context of your organization. Boundaries within the context of organization A is not the same with organization B. So basically, to cover people, processes, and technology, as you can see on this hypothetical organizational document here, it says the information security management system of CTAG encompasses all information, assets, processes, and technologies related to the company's core business functions. Now, it now gives the scope. The scope includes, but not limited to, information assets, business processes, technological infrastructure. Then where there are exclusions, you have to give reasons why those exclusions exist. And then we see below, there's other information that is needed. Then we go to the statement of applicability. What controls are applicable to our ISMS as CTAG, an organization? So basically, this is a core document. It's a very core document within the framework, and it allows controls that are selected by the organizations to address the information security risks. Now, the good part of this is that it provides a very clear overview from the controls from the Annex A control. So it just gives an overview of what is being implemented. So here is a sample of the SOA, as we can see. And here, some of the controls that have been put in place are information security policies, organization of information security, access control. It could be anything, and then it gives a rationale behind this. So this is just a sample of what the statement of applicability should look like. Can we go to the next slide, please? Great. Now, we've identified risks. So what do you do with your identified risks? Okay, you've assessed, and then you need to treat. It's just like a doctor says you have malaria, and then what needs to be done afterwards. So in developing your risk assessment and treatment plan, there must the criteria, the evaluation criteria must be stated. In this case, we've decided to use high, medium, and low. So low could be acceptable. Medium, we could say it requires monitoring and possible mitigation. Then high is for immediate attention. Now, don't forget that every organization can determine how they want to rate it. Some can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where 1 is low, 2 or very low, 2 is low, 3 is medium, 4 is high, 5 is very high. So in this case, we've chosen low, medium, and high. So like, for instance, I'll take the second one where the risk description is service disruption. We said that the likelihood of its occurrence after our evaluation and assessment is medium. However, the impact, if it occurs, is high. And then the overall rating risk will be high. Take note that it doesn't follow any sequence. You could have a low likelihood, you could have low impact, but you could have high overall risk rating. And I mean, it could sway in any direction. There are no indices to that. Then you have the mitigation part, which is the risk treatment. You can see that we said implement intrusion detection and prevention systems, establish incident response procedures, and back up critical systems regularly. And you have risk owners, as they are called. So they are the ones responsible for that risk. In this case, it's the IT operations unit and the security team. And then there must be timelines. If you look at this sheet, some of them are ongoing activities. Some have, there's one that has a specific date to it. And then this one we're looking at is immediate. It needs to be treated immediately. So timelines, I mean, you can get your everything if you get the risk, but you don't have timelines on the treatment plan, then there's really no use. Can we go to the information security policy? Okay, so what's the information security policy? This is just a sample, but it provides a foundation for protecting information assets and technology resources within an organization. It is essential that we customize this policy based on specific needs and the context of our organization. It's not just about downloading a template and using it. It has to fall within the context of our organization. Now, with this hypothetical organization, what is ours? It says the CTAG is committed to protecting its information assets, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This information security policy establishes the principles and guidelines for safeguarding company information and technology resources. Now, sorry, someone says he can't see the screen. Please, can we confirm that we can see the screen or we can't see the screen, depending on what the case may be?
The screen is on.
Okay, thank you. So that was just the sample, and that sample just showed its applicability to the organization. Now, everything we've spoken about falls into this cycle called the Plan, Do, Check, Act. So the Plan, Do, Check, Act is just the way that that the ISMS is implemented or can be summarized. So the management of the ISMS is just summarized in the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, as we can see. So what do we do in the planning phase? There we give the objectives. What's the scope of the ISMS? There must be asset in inventory, because what are we protecting for? We need to know, we'll identify risks, we'll define, like we showed in the document treatment plans, then validate the controls, and then we'll write documentation. Like a boss once told me that if it's not documented, it doesn't exist. So nothing can exist in theory. It has to be in a documented format. Then to do is to implement what has been planned, whether technical or procedural. Then manage change, where changes need to occur. Change management is a very big part of the ISMS too. We need to manage the change properly. Then how do you check? That's why we have things like audits. Audits, and you have monitoring indices, and then management reviews. So management reviews the main thing the management review does is to show management's commitment to the ISMS program. Imagine you're running up and down and management is not interested. It's like working futility. So it shows management's commitment to the ISMS. And then you'd see the resolutions from those meetings are put out there and acted upon. After which we have the continuous improvement. So that's the trajectory. How do we make things? So there's a saying I adopted that says after best, there's better. So when you reach the best, there's still a better way to do things. You're not under pressure to change anything. You're just only advised to improve on existing processes, either due to change in something about the company, the scope, or operations. You need to do things better. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so like we know that for personnel, we have two routes. We have the lead implementers and we have the lead auditors. Now, when you are certified or you are trained to either of the parts, what are the possible job roles you can take? The list is exhaustive, but we've just narrowed it down to this. You could, for an implementer, you could be a data protection officer, you could be an incident response manager or a security assurance consultant, and also be part of security awareness programs. For the lead auditor, you could, because we know that the ISMS is, first of all, it is risk-based. It is without, take risk out of it, then there's no basis for the ISMS anymore. So you could take on risk management roles. So security risk manager or risk analyst, you could take on those roles. Then within cybersecurity too, you could take on roles because, again, it is encompassed into the ISMS. And then auditing, we know that there's no ISMS without audits like we have seen. And then in compliance, you could also have an office in compliance. So we're looking at the different or some, because this is not like the exhaustive list of what you call it, the certification bodies. So basically, the ISO 27001 certification is typically performed by accredited certification bodies. Let's note that ISO does not certify organizations, neither do they certify people. But what they do is there are authorized organizations that certify organizations and people to ISO standards. ISO only comes up with the standards. Now, so the bodies are responsible for assessing organizations, ISMSs, against the requirements of the ISO 27001 standard. So again, we know that these bodies started off in their various jurisdictions till they got global recognition. For instance, PCB is Canadian. That is its jurisdiction. We have TUVSUD, that is German. SIS is Indian. But by virtue of what they've done and also being part of organizations like the IAF, which is the International Accreditation Forum, now they have become more recognized on a wider note. So they started regionally, but as we can see, that they've gone international because of clearinghouses like the IAF and say IAS too. So in that vein, I would like to introduce us to a new organization called the Standards and Best Practices. So what is standard and best practices? Just like every other accreditation body, you know, the Standards and Best Practices is an independent certification body, and it holds the ISO 17024 2021 accreditation, which is the requirement for bodies that are operating certification for personnel to have, and that is their focus, personnel certification. In this case, amongst other courses, you have the ISO 27001, the lead auditor, and lead implementer. So basically, that's what it is. But why is it becoming a viable option? Now, they are accredited to the ISO 17024 2012 standard by NINAS. Now, NINAS is the National Accreditation Service. which is our own accreditation service in Nigeria for bodies like standards and best practices, where they do personnel certifications. Now, the good part about it is NINAS is a member of the International Accreditation Forum, meaning that it gives them viability and credence to this certification, just like the way PCB started years ago and they've gone global now because of same thing, memberships like this. It's the same way we know that S&BP will spread. S&BP is it for short. And the good part about this is that compared to, I mean, there's quality for their certifications. As we speak already, in Africa, we have over 3,000 individuals that are also certified to their certifications, ISO certifications. In Nigeria, we even have people from organizations like Seplat and GT Bank that are already certified to their certifications. And when you look at it, quality is there, and then you get a validation for your expertise. So you get a validation for your expertise. So it would be compared to other certifications like we have seen. However, this is a more pocket-friendly option. We would be willing to give more information on this. If you need more information, you can just reach out on the group and information would be given on our WhatsApp group. For those that are not on the WhatsApp group, I believe that at the end of this presentation, how to join would be given to us, and then communication can be taken further on that platform. So yes, basically that's it. Do we have any questions?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much, Moses.
Thank you.
I think we have done very well on timing. Okay. Any questions, especially regarding the S&BP? Okay, Moses, I have a question here, and the person is asking, is this certification, so if I were to go do my training in line with S&BP to either be a lead implementer. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. If I were to go do my training with S&BP or my certification through S&BP as against maybe a BSI or a TUSV or all these other certification bodies. I know PCB started not too long ago, about 5 years ago or thereabouts, at least one began to hear about them. How does it have the same international recognition that these other guys have? So I present my certificate the same way someone else presents his from either PCB or BSI or TUV. How does this stack with those other guys?
Okay, so that's why I spoke about the membership to the IAF. So IAF is like a clearing ground, or for lack of a better word, meaning that there's an agreement within member countries, organizations of the IAF to have high levels of recognition of certifications of member bodies of IAF. And because NINAS is a member of IAF, certifications that are under NINAS would get a lot more recognition compared to if S&BP did not have certification and they just did it on their own independently. So, like you said, you cannot compare 5 years ago the acceptability of PCB and now. However, it was a journey, but that journey was worth it. I know one of the early starters when it comes to PCB certifications, and he's thankful that he wrote those certifications at the time. So yes, eventually, or at this point, yes, there's been a level of acceptability, primarily also because of the IAF membership, which gives credibility.
Okay, there's some feedback coming from someone. In case you're not speaking, can you just mute? Let's see. All right. I think you can go ahead. No.
Are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm trying to mute someone who appears to be distracting us. Okay. So there's a question again from There's a question from Gabriel, and it says, "Good morning, Moses. Wonderful. My question is, can various frameworks be merged together and be used in an organization?" So the question to that will be yes. Yes, we can. You can. The whole idea behind the ISMS is continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. So I cover one ground this year. By the next time I'm doing my assessment, I need to, I look for areas where I can improve to strengthen the management system. And so even if it's in the space of, say, cybersecurity, or which maybe a NIST, for instance, may be a lot more focused on, what could happen is I could pick some controls around access control, for instance, or vulnerability identification, and apply those controls to strengthen my ISMS. Right? Gabriel, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so there's a question from Solomon. No, did I miss that? Okay. There's a question from Solomon. Solomon says, after the training with S&BP as a lead implementer, do they provide support for when actually carrying out the implementation in an organization? Moses, you want to take that? I'm not sure.
Yes, I do.
There's any. Okay,
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so because it's only their personnel certifications, that's where they stop. However, I'm a partner, for instance. I'm a training and technical partner to S&BP. And also, I am an implementation consultant. So I would say you have people like me to reach out to after your certification. So because I'm a partner with the organization, I mean, things like this, I would not leave you hanging. If you need support, someone like me and a couple of other people here are available to support you even on your implementation.
Fantastic. Okay. Chike has another question. He says, please, is this certification strictly for organizations? Can an individual get certified maybe after undergoing training and organization? Chike, do you want to provide some clarity? When you're talking about certification here, there are two sides to it. There's a certification for an organization. There is also certification for individuals, depending on which of the certifications you're pursuing, be it lead auditor or lead implementer. So which one are you talking about here, just to help provide better feedback? So while we are waiting for your feedback, Kamaruddin says, please, how can you become a lead auditor and what are the opportunities available for such certificates? Okay, we had taken that part of the slide earlier, but we're going to share again the opportunities for lead auditors are not the listing you have here isn't exhaustive, right? And what we have here, you can play in the risk management space, just like Moses had shared, because you discover that the ISMS is largely tilted around risk assessment and treatment, right? It is risk focused. So you can play in the risk management space, especially IT risk. You can play in cybersecurity, because when you look at the Annex A controls and Moses has spoken about the Annex A controls. And if you're familiar with the 2013 version, you will see that there are tons of controls that cuts across different domains, from physical security, the principles behind them, etc. Right? So BU, if you're a lead auditor, the domains you can play in IT and the cybersecurity operations are diverse, and even risk management. So there are no limitations to the opportunities that exist in that space, right? Okay.
Can I go ahead, please?
Yes,
Good
please.
morning,
Please
everyone.
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see that you. I mean, go ahead, please.
Sure. My name is Ade,
Hmm.
and I've got two questions at the very least.
Okay.
Is there much interest in CMMC and mappings onto the ISMS? And then two, my organization is looking to get certified in a few certifications. So my question is, if anyone is here that's in that space, please reach out to me. I'm open to working with you all. Thank you.
Okay, great. Can you take
so Tony, just before you go on,
yes, sir.
Some of you know me as James, but my name is today. My name is Ade, and I did Nigeria. So let's rock and roll.
Okay. Can you take the first question? You were asking for a mapping between CMMC and by CMMC, I mean you're talking about you should be talking about the capability maturity model, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So you're saying, is there a mapping between that model and what now? ISO 27?
Not so much as a mapping. There would be a mapping, but is there much interest in that space? Because I know it's going to be big in some government work, especially US government. So are people already seeing activity in that area? For people in the field, that is. I mean, people do this all the time.
So I'll say yes, people are beginning to see, because you see, for any proactive institution, you're looking at maturing across whatever implementations you have, be it maturity in your operational processes, be it maturity in your cybersecurity operations, be it maturity in terms of your regulation. And I can give you a quick example. So in banking, for instance, there is a regulatory requirement from the central bank, and I'm speaking locally now in Nigeria, right? Pardon my example for our international audience. In Nigeria, there is a requirement by the central bank that requires that financial institutions mature across several technology domains, over a period. And so they have created, they have aligned with that CMMC. They have the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they have categorized, and they've said, look, you should be at a maturity level 3, and they have defined what a 1 should look like, what a 2 should be, what a 3 should be, and going forward. So the minimum is a 3, and you can you can mature beyond that. So yes, that attention is there today, and for any organization that is not looking, or that may not have moved into that direction, is probably still you have those people who are teaching. But for older organizations who are digitally inclined and do not want to are looking to improve their processes, they take this stuff seriously. So yes, I hope that answers.
Oh, it goes well and beyond what I asked. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Regarding the second question, I take it you're on the group, so we could reach out. Moses is available. He's the consultant here. He'll be able to support you, right?
Thank you.
Okay, we still have 15 minutes to go. Moses, thank you very much for sticking to time. It affords us the opportunity to take some of these questions. I don't know if there are any other questions before we say, well, not closing prayers now, but before we wrap up. We are going to share with you, there are a couple of materials available on the ISO 27001-2022 implementation and assessment, right? There are tons of materials. We'll share with you those materials. We'll share them on the LinkedIn page and on the WhatsApp group, right? There is a robust guide provided by, I think, TBI, that just provides you step-by-step processes on how you can go about your implementation. Moses did a good job in explaining some of those mandatory documents that you will need to have in place. The ISMS is a culture shift. It goes beyond, and I know that, yes, there are a couple of institutions that just want to have that certification hung on their wall, for the sake of branding, but it goes beyond just branding. There is a culture shift that that certification or the management system is looking to drive, and it's all encompassing. I think that's why I really love it, and covers both fiscal security and even your cyber security. And the refreshed version, which is 2022, has some add-ons that also focuses a lot more on cyber security, cloud, etc. Okay. Someone's Chike says, how can I join the WhatsApp group? I think, let me just drop the link. I think it's supposed to be, when will the admin allow us to the WhatsApp? Okay, Rambo. The admin will allow you as soon as we see your request to join. So this is the link. And just to provide a bit of background in closing, because I don't see any more questions. Okay. Let's see if I can paste it here. So just to provide a bit of background, the WhatsApp group is largely a community of tech risk practitioners, and our core objective is to support each other grow our careers, right? That's the main thing. And part of how we deliver that is through our monthly knowledge sharing sessions. We try to do it monthly. We miss out a couple of times, but we try to do this on a month-on-month basis. Our popular mantra is that we rise by lifting others. We also share job opportunities across different jurisdictions. So again, if it's something you think you'd want to be part of, please join. We have a mentorship program as well. We help you. It's largely career-based. So if it's something you're thinking of joining, or you think you'll be able to contribute to support the community as well, please, you will be most welcome. You can see that so the link to join the WhatsApp group is displayed. Okay. Emmanuel is saying, please, what challenges might organizations face during the implementation of ISO 27001, and how can they overcome them? Okay, so I've done implementation in about two big institutions. First is your scoping, right? First is your scoping. Sometimes institutions take on too much, right? And so when you don't have a proper scope, there are a couple of things that could slip through the cracks. The implementation guide that we're going to share with you provides further guidelines, because you need to take this as a project, have the right set of people on that project, train them to be knowledgeable, because again, aside you not having proper scoping, there is also the knowledge gap that could create issues for you if you don't have the right set of people on board during your implementation. There is the bit around risk assessments. In my little experience, we still have personnel who struggle around risk assessment. Don't forget that it's important that we have our objectives right as to why we are implementing the ISMS. It is a contributory factor to your success and failure in terms of managing the system. You can do the wrong things and you could just be getting certified. But you see, it does not help your institution if that is the approach. And so management support is key to your success in this stock. It should be as much as branding is an add-on to getting the certification, we must see the ISMS beyond branding, but a culture shift that encourages the practice of information security across board in the institution, right? Across board in the institution. So when we shared that document, you'll see some other stuff, but I'm sure I've managed to mention 2 or 3 things that can help you succeed, or that could impair your success in the implementation of your ISMS. Does that answer your question? Okay, Success says, don't think there was much explanation on the implementation of ISO 27002 or 1. Do you mean 1?
I think I know what he's trying to ask.
Oh, okay. You want to take that?
Okay. Yes, please. So don't confuse yourself. Now, we spoke about controls. Now, you see those controls listed. When you now go to the 27002, it now gives you an in-depth of those controls in the Annex A. So understand that, first of all, the only standard that an organization can certify to is the 27001. You can't certify to, say, 27002 and all of that. So, but the controls is what speaks to the 27002. Because when you now go into the 27002 document, it now gives you a more in-depth on those Annex A controls. So that is why we say you effect the controls, but it's not like it's a certification on its own, or it's a process on its own. It's just there to complement what you are doing with the 27001.
Okay. So Emmanuel, is your question answered? Success, is your question answered? Or you need further clarification?
Yeah. It's actually answered. Yeah, it's
Okay.
answered. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
it's answered.
implementation
Thank
of
you.
control.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Rambo is asking, how long is the training with S and BP? Again, Moses, maybe you want to provide the answer across both the implementer and the auditor. Rambo is asking, how long is the training with S and BP?
Okay, so for the implementer and the auditor, it's a 5-day course put together. So we have the core part of the course where we do the coursework, and then we have like the practical sessions too. So it's a 5-day session across each of them, both the implementer and the auditor. And then also we have both virtual sessions. And if you have a collection of people and you think you want a physical session, then we can do that. As for the pricing, indices apply. Of course, if you are doing virtual or you're doing physical, it won't be the same thing. So I would say you can reach out and then we can have a further conversation. I just know that one thing I know is that it's a lot pocket friendly compared to some other options that you may have out there. It will be worth it in the end.
Okay. Any unanswered question? I have pasted the group link on the chat in case. Okay, Abdul Fatai is saying for someone who is looking to get certified or trained as an, okay, what is, okay, you've provided that feedback. Okay, please, what's the individual cost? Okay, okay. I've pasted the link to the WhatsApp group. Is there any question we haven't taken as we wrap up? Okay. So our next session will be sometime around 30th of this year, where we'll be discussing the top IT risks that have dominated 2023, and we'll try to pivot into 2024. The whole idea is that as we begin to prepare for the new year, we are also prepared. We are also planning how we intend to manage or mitigate some of these risks. Last year, we had people risk, and the survey has gone out. Maybe I'll just, let me see if I can get that survey link and put it here as well for those of us that may want to be part of it. The idea is for us to see what are the top risks that have impacted us this year. What do we consider to be projections for next year, right? So I'll just drop that as we begin to wrap up. Sec. So let your voice be heard. I've just dropped the link. It's a 2-minute survey, so shouldn't take too long to fill. It would be nice to have a session on integrated audits for multiple standards and share similarities. Okay, nice, Stephen. Yeah, because today we have institutions that are certifying to more than one of these standards. The three or the four that I have seen mostly is the ISO 27001, the ISO 20000, the ISO 22301, and 9001, right? Those are like the four that I'm familiar with that you get to certify to. So yes, we could plan that for 2024. Thank you for that feedback. We should have that, because when you look at those standards, there are intersections across board, right? There are intersections. Okay, so thank you everyone, and hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Okay.